Conduction by KayScience.com. What I'm drawing here are the particles in a solid, and we're going to show how energy is transferred via conduction through particles in a solid. Energy is transferred into the thermal energy store of the object. So as you can see here, energy is being transferred into the thermal energy store of the object. Energy is transferred into the thermal energy store of the object. Energy is transferred into the energy stores of the particles, and I'm showing that by colouring them in red. There's more energy stored in these particles than in the particles adjacent to them. That's why these particles are being coloured in blue. So the energy that is being transferred into the thermal energy store of the object is being shared across the kinetic energy store of the particles. This is causing these particles to vibrate more. All these particles that I've coloured in blue have a lower temperature than the particles that I've coloured in red. This is because they are vibrating less. There is less energy stored in these particles than in the particles that have just had energy transferred into them. So these particles, whereby energy has been transferred into them, they are vibrating more. So they have more energy stored in their kinetic energy store. So these particles that I've coloured in red are vibrating more. So the energy that is being transferred into the thermal energy store of the object is being shared across the kinetic energy store of the particles. The thermal energy store of an object can also be described as the kinetic energy store of the particles in that object. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. So the particles that are represented in blue have less kinetic energy than the particles that I've coloured in red. So they are vibrating less. They've got less energy in their kinetic energy stores. So there's now been an energy transfer into the kinetic energy store of the particles. So they collide more with the particles adjacent to them. So when a particle collides with another particle, as you can see here, there's going to be an energy transfer from the kinetic energy store of one particle to the kinetic energy store of the adjacent particles, therefore transferring energy through the solid. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. So let's describe this one more time. Energy is being transferred into the thermal energy store of the object, which means that energy is being transferred into the kinetic store of the particles. So these particles are going to start to vibrate more. I'm colouring in these particles in blue because they have less energy in their kinetic energy store than the particles that have just had energy transferred into their kinetic energy stores. So the particles that have got more kinetic energy in their kinetic energy stores are going to vibrate and collide with their adjacent particles, transferring energy into their kinetic energy stores. And in turn, they're going to vibrate more and collide with the particles adjacent to them. This is conduction. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. Press pause to practice using those key words. The answers will follow. Press pause to go through your answers and make any corrections to your mistakes. Press pause to answer the questions. The answers will follow. And if you're stuck, just re-watch the video. Press pause to go through your answers and make any corrections to your mistakes. Visit KayScience.com for more free videos, worksheets, and quizzes at KayScience.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe.